Alright, so today we're looking at the Walther P99 AS 9mm semi-automatic pistol. The P99 is a double-action, single-action, polymer-framed handgun. Comes at 9mm and 40. This one is the 40 version. Now, obviously the world is flooded with double-stack 9mm. This is a 15+1 capacity, and world's absolutely flooded right now with 9mm. You've got Glocks, you've got Smith & Wesson M&Ps, you know, you've got the Walthers, I mean, everybody and their brother has produced a 9mm double stack polymer gun. And that's great because that means you've got lots of different options and lots of different features you can have on your gun. Now, for me, the P99 is kind of underrated and overlooked because of, with it being double action, single action, some people, I guess, everybody wants their lightest trigger possible, and they want striker fired, which this is striker fired. It's a double action, single action, and in some ways it's actually better than some of the striker fired single actions out there, in my opinion. Obviously, one of the main things everybody's going to compare a double stack polymer striker fired gun to a Glock, and in a lot of ways this kind of is better than a Glock, in my opinion. Starting out with the trigger, it's a double single action trigger, and the initial trigger pull is a 9-pound pull, but afterwards it is a 4.5-pound trigger, which is better than a Glock because most Glocks are about a 5.5-pound trigger, give or take. So you've got right off the bat in single action, which you can rack it and leave it like that, and it would basically function just as a Glock would. One of the things that's nice about the P99 is the AS, which is the they call it an anti-stress trigger, which is the double action part, but you have a decocker. So obviously when you run the slide and chamber around, it's going to be in single action. You would click it and then it's in single action, which is, a take up and pull. But you have a decocker so that if you wanted to have that initial first trigger pull be a longer anti-stress, less stressful, I guess you could say, trigger pull, just hit your decocker and you're good. So, a really nice feature on the gun, having that, opens up your options. But Glock does not have that. Glock is simply a single action trigger. Another nice thing that kind of sets it apart from Glock, apart from the trigger being much nicer, also not as gummy, I've found. I've shot a lot of Glocks and I have respect for what they are, but their triggers are not the best. The sights. Now, Glock sights, the stock sights are good enough, but the nice thing about the P99 is it comes with 3 different front sight post heights, so that depending upon the ammunition you're using, you can fine-tune your gun so that vertical shot placement is dead on, which is a really nice, it's a nice little thing. I mean, I've not changed the sights because for me it shoots, for my needs it shoots just good. There's no problem with it. But if that's something you're really into, you're really fanatical about the accuracy, it's a nice little feature, especially at longer distances where bullet weight could easily affect point of aim. So that's a nice little feature to have with the gun. Another thing about the gun is the takedown. Now, the takedown is very Glock-like. I'm not going to do it on camera because there's enough videos talking about how to do it, but you know, you just merely pull these down, pull on the slide, and then it slides off. So it's very Glock-like. You know, it's a very simple gun to take down, very easy to clean. Um, as far as reliability, the reliability has been flawless. And I mean, I have not run this gun completely into the ground. I'm sure, you know, if you run it long enough, you will find malfunctions. But the first time I had the gun out, I picked it up from a gun shop, stopped at somebody's house, sat and cleaned the gun for about 10 minutes, just, you know, wiped it down and oiled it, and took it right to the range, and the first 100 rounds through the gun did not have a single malfunction. And as of yet, I have not had a malfunction with this gun. So definitely, Walther is well known for their reliability, and this gun certainly is a fine example of that. Um, the other thing Walther is well known for is their ergonomics. A lot of, you know, everybody's producing a polymer frame gun, but a lot of them, gripping them, you know, it leaves a little bit to be desired. With the P99, the grip is very nice. Obviously, you know, not every single person's gonna love it, but in my experience, it's probably the nicest gun I've held. The P99 and the newer PPQ. They feels really nice in the hand. It's got slight finger grooves, not deep enough that if you don't like them, they'll be in the way. But they're just slightly raised so that you could, you know, as you wrap your hand around the gun, it does kind of guide your fingers around the gun. So that, you know, really ergonomic when it comes to, you know, how it feels in the hand and how the gun shoots. It feels very natural once you get used to it. So definitely nice to see over a lot of the polymer frame guns out there, you know, that they took the time. Now, I mean, the plastic is still a little slick. You know, they do put these little bumps on it that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a chunk of plastic. You know, you can only make it so grippy without really adding some rubber, or, you know, I know some people stipple it, but I have not had any issue with it. With that being said, I know a lot of people, you know, put grip tape on it and stuff like that. And, you know, if that's what you like, that's what you like, but I have not had any need for that as of yet. So that, you know, no problems there. I talked about reliability. As far as accuracy, it's exactly what you would expect. Here's a target, and at 15 yards, you know, once I'd gotten used to it, that was, you know, that was pretty much that. I was 5 shots, and there was my 4 shot, and I had one that got away from me. But at 15 yards, that's certainly, you know, that was my first time out, and the gun performed quite well. I'm sure you could get better than I did out of it, but for my needs, I would definitely trust that gun to be accurate in a self-defense situation. Like most of the polymer guns out there, the P99 does have a rail. It's nice because that opens it up for, you know, a home defense or a duty weapon if so needed. Let's see, as far as the, you know, I'm assuming you could put just about anything you want on there, but definitely, you know, definitely has shot well. They do give you 3 different back straps, small, medium, and large. You know, big shocker there. I've left medium on, and it fits the hand well, and my hands are pretty big, so I'm assuming if you have ginormous hands, you know, it might help to have a little more of a palm swell, but I have not had any issue with that. That's pretty commonplace nowadays for them to do that. So overall, definitely, I feel the P99 is a pretty underrated gun, just because of what it is and how it's been out since the 90s. So it's It's not the latest and greatest. I know they offer the PPQ now, which is basically the same gun, but it's single action only. And for my taste, I like having the double single action and then the restrike capability. So for my taste, the P99 still, because I was looking at both guns and I eventually decided on the P99. So definitely, if you're looking for a full size double stack 9mm, it's definitely something I would put on your list. It's not obviously not going to be for everybody. Everybody's got their own tastes. Some people don't like a double single action. Some people might not like, the one other thing to talk about is some people might not like the paddle mag release. It's definitely different. I know they're really going away from that. I know the first PPQ had it, and now the M2 Americanized, as they call it, version has a standard button release. But I will say about the paddle mag release is once you get used to it. I mean, the first time I had the gun out, I'll admit there was a lot of doing this. There was a lot of doing this and there being no button, and then you'd have to thumb it down. But with that being said, I have noticed that upon practicing with the gun, I've noticed that it becomes very intuitive and it's almost easier, and I actually like it now more than most of the buttons because it's ambidextrous, which is nice, and that means if you're shooting, you can thumb it down, or you can hit it, knock it down with your finger. If you've got big hands, you can use your thumb almost like you would with a button. Or if you're shooting two-handed, you can use this thumb to come down and then yank the mag. So it opens up options. Like I said, that's not necessarily for everybody, and it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're planning on carrying the gun. It's definitely something, it's probably one of the biggest things that separates it from most of the 9mm double stack, polymer frame Wonder 9s, is that paddle mag release. Like I said, I've learned to really like it, but definitely something that may not be for everybody. So, like I said, overall, I would definitely recommend giving the gun a shot. They're really well built from what I've seen. I've not had any real issues with it. Like I said, at this point, it's been 100% reliable. I'm quite sure over its lifespan it'll have malfunctions. All guns eventually do, but as of yet, I've got a few hundred rounds through it and no issues. It's got the Tenifer coating on it, which means that it's pretty good for if it gets wet and all that, and that can definitely help if you have to track down a evil billionaire that's trying to irradiate the U.S. gold bullion supply. Could definitely come in handy in tracking them down or something like that. Oh, wait, hang on, wrong one. Okay, that was this gun. So sorry, that was this gun. But I guess this one's okay too. I mean, I guess a lot of police forces and stuff carry it, so I guess that kind of is the same thing. But, still not as cool as that one. But hey, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and have a good day.